it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today to share my Berry Baskets quilt and mini. Now this is actually an older quilt pattern from 2017, but I've redone the pattern into booklet format, and I've included the mini as part of the large quilt pattern, so you don't have to buy them separately anymore. Let's go ahead and I'll show you all of the details about these two fun projects. One thing I want to mention about today's video before we get started is that it is the first of what I'm going to call our throwback quilt pattern videos. I created a lot of quilts and patterns before 2020 when we really started focusing on the YouTube channel. And so I do have quite a few quilts that have never really had a video all of their own to share about the pattern and the quilt. And so I thought of this one because I was redoing the pattern and getting ready to remake the mini in a new collection. But just watch, because time to time we will go back and share some of those other quilts that I pieced with our first, I want to say almost 10 collections that we had before we started the YouTube channel. So this is the first in that series, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, so just a few things about these quilts. As I mentioned, these patterns were both originally done in 2017, and the fabrics here are from our Front Porch collection, which was actually our 5th collection with Moda. And just for reference, we are going to be sharing our 20th collection in July of 2024. So it's been a few collections ago, and you'll notice that the background is still kind of an ivory base, which most of our early collections were, well, all of our early collections were. But this has always been one of my favorite mini wall hangings, and I really can't wait to make it again in the collection that I'm sewing with now. And when I decided to revamp the pattern and put it into a booklet format, I thought it would be just so great so that people could have both of these patterns together in one. So just a few specifics. The finished quilt is 64.5 inches by 81.25. So that's a really nice size quilt for a bed. And then the wall hanging is also a really nice size at 23.25 by 31.5. And the pattern is written for fat eighths. So you could also use fat quarters and have a little bit less variety, but it is written for fat eighths. You could do the mini with even smaller scraps. These half square triangles finish pretty small, and you might even want to use half square triangle paper for these. Back when I wrote this pattern, I wasn't using the triangle paper, but when I remake it, I believe I will definitely use the triangle paper. And in that case, you could do each basket with 2 matching charm squares. So you wouldn't even need full 1/8 of a yard to do the smaller quilt. The bigger quilt, and I kind of did the same thing with both. I actually used a low volume for the sashing, and I just love what that adds extra to the quilt. I will do that when I remake this as well. I just love the little kind of sparkle that it gives. And you'll notice also, and this doesn't happen very often, but my quilter Marion did the quilting on both of these projects, and she actually used the same pattern, but she sized it down for the mini, and I love that she did that. She doesn't always quilt both. When I do a mini, she doesn't always do them both in the same pattern, and I just thought this was so much fun that she did that. And a couple things on the mini too, I went with a green binding that matched the green outer border. I just felt like I wanted the baskets to be the centerpiece and the focus, and I didn't really want an extra color out at the edge of the quilt. This was a really fun print from that collection that we loved, one of the low volume prints. And then for the larger quilt, let me just show you up close. We did a green, the darker green border with the flowers, and then a red binding. And then the backing was just such a fun little text prints with pomegranate and rose and different names of the different plants and flowers that were pictured in the collection. So this, I would say, it is set on point. So if you're not familiar with putting together an on-point quilt, you will want to refer to our video on how to put together an on-point quilt. But the basket blocks are very beginner friendly. So it's going to be a confident beginner to intermediate level quilt. And I'm so excited to have the patterns put together into one booklet, and hope that you'll enjoy making this too. Okay, so that's it for the Berry Baskets quilt and mini. As I mentioned earlier, they are available now in just one pattern in paper, booklet printed format, or a downloadable PDF, and you can find both of those in my shop from the description below. It's a super fun project. I can't wait to make it again. Actually, I'm going to make the wall hanging again very soon with some new fabrics that I'm sewing with. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.